Okay. Let's see. Next, Ray Testmer is going to report on the Income Generation Committee in the process that they've made in the process of going out and trying to get things lined up to go find money to hire, and for lack of a better term, I'll call it an economic director position, so that they can find funding that's sustainable and how. Ray, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thanks.
So everybody get out your wallet. Where we start here. Obviously, as we saw today, we're not going to probably get any money from the state to develop the infrastructure. We have a road in Ontonagon. Now it's up to us to hire somebody to bring some businesses in, okay? Anyway, the Income Generating Committee, we originally were charged with developing the resume for the person we're going to try to hire. We have that done. Still a work in progress. We're wordsmithing some of the things on that. The next thing is to try to find the funding. So we had multiple meetings over the last couple of weeks with different people within the community to just try to get some ideas and see what are the best way to go. We probably, in the last meeting, I think, discussed a little bit about whether we were going to do private funding, county funding, state funding, or whatever. And it looks like probably the best logical choice right now is to try to go with the private funding. And I met with Jim Jessup and had quite a nice meeting with him. He gave me some great information. I got a handout to you that you can take notes on so you can kind of follow along with what we did and what we've accomplished. And in his meeting, one of the things he brought up and thought would be worthwhile for what we're trying to do is to do the 501(c) corporation.
501(c)(3).
So we could go ahead and develop that as a partnership corporation, LLC. It would be a non-profit organization, so consequently any of the funding that came into that corporation would be a tax deduction for the people that put the deduction in, which is obviously important to try to get funding. So I discussed that with him. We've gotten some things written up on it, but obviously, again, that's going to be a working process to get this whole process going. It's going to take probably, according to him, 3 to 4 to 5 months to get this done. We could possibly go faster with it, and the next time I come in, I'll report it. But then we're not going to stop trying to get funding. Actually, we're going to start on the funding process, and Mike has already done some of that work already. So what we did in the next step of that is, for the funding, put together the fourth part down there is put together a donation letter and a pledge form. We have that done now. We're again doing some wordsmithing on that, and I'll meet with Jim Jessup on that again to make sure that looks good, large through the community, and that could, take place when we're doing a fair, anything at all, where there might be people meeting and getting together, might help us get that accomplished. So that part of it, we're going to start now, even before we get the total thing done for the corporate reform, because we can start the process of talking to some of these people. But, we won't actually get budgets coming in until we have the corporation legitimately put in place, because obviously that would be a good thing to do. We continued discussions then with the county, so I've been able to talk to some of the commissioners, and there's been great input there. If we're going to fund this, we think we need the county's buy-in somehow. Some things they can help us with. There are some things they can't. Maybe they don't have money, but we can get an office space someplace. We can get some help for the person that we end up eventually hiring. There are a lot of things we can get from the county in those conversations, but I'm going to get a list of things that they can help us with to help defray some of the costs, even if they can't necessarily give us money. The economic and community director, the research is in progress in investigating potential candidates. What I'm doing now, I'm just adding some more to our, I guess I would say, our resume of what we're looking for with this individual, because as the time comes to hire this person, we're going to have to